I saw this firsthand last year and it like freaking blew my mind because here's what happened. We started grading our calls, like every single one, and giving very quick feedback to the rep, like as soon as they get off the phone.
Every now and then I read an article, watch a video on YouTube and think, oh my gosh, this person gets it. They're saying something different than what every other talking head in the real estate and the mortgage world is saying. And last week I found just that. I was perusing Inman as I do every Monday morning with my coffee. And I saw an article with an agent, broker, real estate expert, Chris Watters of Watters International Realty. It talked about how 90% of what agents do are not selling related behaviors. They're not the things that are actually driving commissions. It's kind of a lot of fluff. And so he built a brokerage and he built a model that's the opposite. In fact, in this model, agents are paid in a completely different way. Agents do different types of work, and the conversion ratio that they get compared to everyone else, it's like 10-1. So Chris Watters, so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Matt.
So I just have to start. Had a lot of people on the show, and very few of them have something truly unique. And the first thing I saw when I went to your website is you guys on just the homepage alone have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 10 unique calls to action that are bringing in leads for your agents. So I just want to start, like, how did you come up with this different model? What is the model, and how's it been working?
Yeah. So first on the website side, there's a lot of these templated websites out there. And most of the tech companies out there that like package websites and CRM and lead gen, everything they do is buy-side focused. It's very easy to generate just a massive quantity of buy-side leads. And so their websites are totally optimized to be buy-side specific. In our model, all of our advertising dollars is spent on finding sellers and marketing our sellers' homes. And on our website, if anybody goes to it, what they'll notice is like there's not a lot on there about buy-side stuff. We have like one call to action for registering for a buyer webinar, and they do have the ability to search for a home, but the vast majority of everything is very seller focused. And so our marketing engine is all about targeting sellers, and the byproduct of doing a good job of that is you get very high intent buyers. So you asked me about the model. The model is, I call it the enterprise model. And what I mean by that is in the team model, which Gary Keller wrote about in his book 25 some odd years ago, it's a really skinny org chart. If you lose any one person in that org chart, like you end up as a business owner owning a job again. And so in the enterprise model, you hire several extremely sophisticated, smart, talented leaders to head up like each key impact zone of the business. So for example, like head of sales, head of training, head of marketing, head of inside sales, head of operations. And then underneath them are, also sophisticated, talented people. However, we have layered in a significant number of AI agents. And for anybody listening to this, an AI agent is something that does something for you autonomously. And so for anybody that's been like following along on Instagram, something that went viral was the Claude bot. And recently also Claude, Anthropic, created something called Cowork.
Absolutely.
So,
I was like, as soon as I got that, I was like, this is going to change the way that I work.
yeah. So for anybody watching this, they can go get Claude, and there's the ChatGPT version, but then there's Cowork, which autonomously does tasks for you. And so in the enterprise model, you have these very sophisticated and talented people head of these departments, and they do have humans underneath them. Like there's humans that do, like we have licensed transaction coordinators, you know, full-time marketing people, but the departments are much bigger because of the AI agents. For example, we have an AI agent that puts everything in the MLS. It grabs the photos from G Drive. It edits the photos. It does virtual staging. And so it facilitates a lot of that. And so the person on our team that is going through everything being completed autonomously, like she's a subject matter expert. She knows exactly what it needs to look like when that thing gets pushed live. And so, like, for example, we call that role the listing manager as an example. And, it's funny, her name is Yvonne. She's amazing. She's been with me, I think, almost 15 years. And she could input about 60 to 70 listings a month. And now she could probably do 300 a month. Because she's just going through and reviewing everything, making tiny tweaks, and and hitting approve.
Well, I think people listening will appreciate that you're not replacing people with AI. You're simply enhancing people with AI, which I think is fantastic. How did you go about building these Claude bots? And I guess you mentioned a couple of the things that they're doing so far. Which aspects of the business, other than like uploading stuff to the MLS, have been the biggest time savings or lead gen successful things you've done with it?
Yeah, so I mean, we're leveraging AI to audit our marketing stack. We have something for anybody that's familiar with EOS, stands for Entrepreneurial Operating Systems. And in EOS, you develop this scoreboard of the 10 most critical numbers in your business. And so we have AI digesting that information. It's also digesting everything from Google Analytics. It's digesting everything from, it's called an MCP connector to our, to everything, to like our Facebook account, Instagram account. We run OTT ads, so it's connected to that platform. It's connected to our phone system that's tracking like where the calls are coming from. And so it's giving us these like really robust like audits where you normally have like, a human like going through and doing all this manual auditing. And the goal is, you're constantly seeking like, where are the constraints in the business? Like, what are the issues? Is it the optimization of the website? Is it the ad copy itself that's driving traffic? Is it the inside salesperson on the phone? So that's another example of how we're using AI right this second, specifically to inside sales. So we talked about this a little bit prior to the show starting. For years and years, we would mystery shop our inside sales agents on the phones. And then we would also listen to their call recordings and give them feedback as fast as possible to help them improve their conversion.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like when you say that, most people listening are thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I had time to do that, but that would take hours or days that I already don't have time to do. When really, like, if you have inside salespeople, you kind of want to know how they're talking, because even if you're paying all this money for leads, if you can improve their results through some sales psychology, through some verbiage, and through even like some body cues by even a couple percent, that increases your bottom line big time. So you were doing that the old-fashioned way, and now I'm guessing we're going to hear the ball drop of like you're using tech to do it better.
Yeah. So we've, I told you this before the show. So there's a company called RealSync, RealSynch, and it's basically, there's three key things RealSync does for us. One is it helps us enable all the integrations, so our whole tech stack is talking to each other. And then two, it pulls in all the data. So it's pulling in all your key KPIs from the CRM. It's also connected to your phone system, and it's digesting the audio of calls. And it's giving your agents real-time updates around like what they did good, what they did bad, how they can improve, and what next action items are, plus an AI note summary of the call. And then there's also a report going to the sales team lead. So the sales team lead knows like, hey, do I need to get involved in this to help them, win a deal? And then again, if anybody goes to realsync.com, they're not going to hear about this because the product hasn't been getting promoted. It's in beta. And So our team's been using it for about a year now, and there's nothing else like it in our industry. But the other thing so we talked about inside sales. The other thing it does is it's mystery shopping and grading the listing agents at the kitchen table. So my point of bringing that up is a moment ago, you talked about the impact conversion can have. And so I saw this firsthand last year, and it like freaking blew my mind, because here's what happened. We started grading our calls, like every single one, and giving very quick feedback to the rep, like as soon as they get off the phone. And our lead to appointment ratio on like crap leads for me are internet leads. Like when you spend money on like, Google AdWords as an example, or, Facebook or whatever, in most instances, unless you have like really robust brand awareness style campaigns, in most instances, you're probably running like a very direct response heavy ad, and you're going to get a lot of leads, but your lead to appointment ratio is going to be low. And so on that specific lead source, like those, and I would call those not high intent leads, on those specific lead sources, we saw our lead to appointment ratio go from 15 to 1 to 10 to 1. As a result of our inside sales team getting this like constant feedback loop around what they were doing good and bad on the phone. And that happened over the course of 60 to 90 days. And then we started, on the mobile app, we gave the agents, when they would go to walk in the house, they'd say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, can I use this AI note taker, and I'll send you the summary after the appointment." And so the mobile app digests all the audio from the appointment, and it immediately after is giving feedback to the listing agent, like, "Hey, you got stuck on commission, and here's why." Or it says, "Hey, you got stuck on pricing. The seller said they wanted 400,000, you said 375. The reason why you got into dispute is you failed to lead them to their own conclusion. Next time, ask more open-ended questions. If they were a buyer, as an example, what would they pay for their own house?" And that's like a perfect example of like an AI summary I saw just yesterday.
I love that.
So,
I mean, when you think about like these big teams, they're spending all the money in leads, they're sending people out, and especially for their first year, they don't have all that experience, and they're not doubling up and sending a trainer out there every time. And then sometimes the agent's successful, sometimes they're not. But I mean, if you could look and see what are the things I did every single time we won, and look back on that, or better yet, use an AI tool like yours to figure out what are the things that happen every single time an agent closes the deal that we can see in common from this. Like AI can now analyze billions of data points, not for free, obviously, but at one time, and provide real-time feedback, which we've just never been there from a training capacity in our industry before.
Yeah, it's never been possible before. Yeah, so back to conversion and the impact on your income. So lead to appointment ratio went from 15 to 1 to 10 to 1. Our face-to-face conversion was terrible because we're in Austin, Texas, where the number of transactions has dropped 50% from the peak. And prices fell from a median home price of like 600 grand down to just over 400 grand.
Okay.
So market's gotten crushed. So our conversion rate dropped to like historic lows for us as a company, specifically in Austin. And we put in place this AI, we tell the consumer it's an AI note taker. It is, but it's so much more than that. And our listing agents' conversion rates went from 41% to 53%. And so in one single month, I literally saw our revenue double. Like our revenue went from 700,000 in gross commission dollars to 1.4 million. We didn't spend a single dollar more in lead generation. We didn't spend a single dollar more on anything except putting in place this tool. And so if anybody's listening to this, write this down, go ask ChatGPT to validate it. But if you improve the lead to appointment ratio from 15 to 1 to 10 to 1, and you improve face-to-face conversion from 40% to 53%, your revenue literally doubles. It's freaking it like when I saw it happen, like basically 90 days in of us using this, it blew my mind. Like I mean it's a huge number to see revenue double like that. And again,
well, I think everyone likes to see that their time is being spent better, right? Like so many agents spend so much of their time trying to convert leads into an appointments and then appointments into closings. Anything you can do to increase your results from those two things you're already doing is a huge win, especially when you're not spending more money on more shitty leads.
Yep.
All right. What are I have a couple specific questions on some of the things that you're offering on your website because I was really intrigued by this. You guys mention a black book of buyers, and this fascinates me. So I'm assuming you're marketing something to the extent of like, hey, if you're a seller, the Watters team has like a list of buyers who are kind of always looking to buy. I mean, is this just investors? What is this list? How do you market it, and what has it led to?
Yeah, great question. So our black book of buyers is made up of institutional investors. It's made up of local fix and flip investors. It's also made up of buy and hold local investors. The thing I love about local buy and hold investors is like they're willing to pay like a great price for the house. And then finally, the last part of the list is made up of all the buyers that have come in, inquiring on our listings. And so we have at this exact moment in time, we have a Rolodex of about 3,000 buyers that are in the investment category. And then we have a Rolodex of about 80,000 people that are actively searching homes for sale. And so like those are the two broad categories, right? There's different variations of an investor. There's fix and flip. There's the buy and hold guys. There's the institutional buyers. And so that is our black book. It's a multitude of things. I'll give everybody a really big nugget on the show. I don't think I've ever talked about this on a previous podcast. So you can go in the MLS. Like, let's say, for example, you got a listing in a neighborhood and it's in an area where like good schools, like could be a great rental property as an example, right? You can go into the MLS and you can look up all of the cash transactions that have happened within like, half a mile to a mile. And when that deal closes, now the tax record for the property reflects the new buyer, right, that paid cash for this property. That specific tactic has helped us build one of the, like, probably the biggest oil well for really high quality investors. Like, we get people buying our listings that like live in the neighborhood and they don't want to put their money in their 401k. They want to parlay money into the neighborhood, buying another rental house in the neighborhood where they can see it. They can make sure that everything's going good and they can, take advantage of depreciation. If anybody's not familiar with the Trump, the big, beautiful bill of Trump,
Yeah.
like accelerated depreciation, all these things are incredible. And so that's been a huge avenue for us to build these really high quality list of investors, is like searching cash closings near our listings. And they're not paying 70, 80 cents on the dollar. They're paying like, they usually don't have an agent and they're pretty savvy. And so, there's some commission negotiations that happens there, but you're still selling it for like, 95, 96, 97% of market value. And it's getting sold within 30 days. It's no financing contingencies. So anyways, that's the black book of buyers.
Dude, I love that. And the next one I see is the $50,000 make ready fund. Now, this is one I've never heard of. I've heard of a black book. I don't think I've seen it executed as well as you guys do. But what is the $50,000 make ready fund?
So basically, like, it's funny. We had this crazy snowstorm happen in Texas several years ago, and we were like getting calls from some clients that said like, their water heater went out, like they had all this damage, and they're like, I have to take my house off the market and I got to wait to save money to like get these things fixed. And so we tested this on our own, where we just loaned people money, and I literally loaned out over $300,000. And I got
Sounds like you're a really nice guy.
we got all the money back except one, and and it was amazing. It helped solve the conversion issue, right? So like when like you're probably, I'm beating a dead horse here, but like once you figure out the lead generation side, like then it's about like removing every possible objection to optimize conversion.
Yeah, so like I'm the realtor and I call you and I'm like, Chris, I want to help you sell your house. You're like, oh my God, Matt, I'd love to list my house to you, but I need to fix this, that, and the other before I sell, and I'm still saving up for those improvements.
Yeah.
Most agents would stop right there and say, okay, this isn't a deal right now. I'm going to move on. But that was still an opportunity. So I'm assuming that this is a way for your agent to say, no, you don't need to stop. We can actually loan you the money for this. How does that?
Yeah.
How does the loan work? Tell me everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a short term loan. It's interest free. But we started opening up multiple offices across the U.S. And so like I don't have enough money to do that all over the U.S. So we partnered with a company that is called Notable. So you can Google Notable, and it's kind of like a credit card on your house. Like they'll send you a check, they'll give you like a debit card, and they'll give the consumer up to $50,000 to use towards their home. So if anybody's interested in having something like that in place, you can contact Notable, Notable, and you can partner with them to be able to offer your clients this $50,000 cash advance that gets paid back at closing.
Okay, cool. And do you guys have a lot of people that take advantage of that, or do they just like the assurance that so that they know that it's there if they need it?
Um, it's not like an overwhelming number of people, but it's 7, 8, 9, 10% of people need it.
Okay, that makes
And I
that
know
makes
that
sense.
sounds insignificant, but man, if you go on 200 listing appointments and you can win two extra listings every month, that's 24 a year, 24 listings times 15,000. That's what, 400,000 something dollars in revenue.
It's huge. It's a lot of times it's not about when you have a sticky product, it's not about using that a lot. It's about having it in your back pocket to make you more marketable than the next person, to just give that buyer or seller more confidence that hey, you have everything covered. You've thought out all the contingencies that might go wrong or those friction points as you put it in a sale.
Yep.
Well, let's talk really quick
And
about
I'm gonna share one more nugget with the
yeah.
audience
I need it. I want as many nuggets as we can get.
about the website. So this is something nobody will see because this isn't on the website. So one of my biggest ahas around like growing our database, and this is going to sound like an exaggeration when I tell you this, but we figured out how to increase our web visitor to lead form completion ratio.
Web visitor to lead form. So people go to your website, you increase the number of people that actually filled out a form and became a lead.
Yep. And so like the industry average is like 2%. And like, man, we pushed the limits. We're retargeting on Google, Meta, Instagram, TikTok. We're retargeting on OTT. So that's like literally we have TV commercials that run on the smart televisions. And so like we use it's a marketing, it's not a marketing platform. It's basically like it's called Simplify. It's this platform for like advertising agencies use it to place media buys on OTTs. So think like Hulu, YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
Netflix, like all those smart TV apps. So, anyways, we set up retargeting ads on, and all like everything imaginable, even direct mail, like sending out direct mail to people that went really deep on the website. And our web visitor to lead form completion ratio went from in the low 2% range to almost 6%. And so you like for anybody that just heard me say that, you're going to be like, oh, 2% to 6%, not a really big deal. That is a 300% increase. And so when I put $10 into the machine, instead of getting like $20 back, now I get $60 back for every $10. Like that's how impactful these tiny little tweaks are. One other thing behind the scenes that happens that you don't see on the website is we put in place this tracking system. So when people go to our website, it pulls in everybody's IP address. Now, it's some people have like these, browsers that don't know how to.
Incognito
Yeah,
windows, privacy, extra privacy.
but so on average, though, about 40 to 50% of the people that come to our website, we're able to get their IP address, and we can enrich their IP address and get their property address, social media handles, phone number if available, and email. And we went from getting, for example, 5 to 6% of the people I mentioned earlier, right, out of 100 visitors filling out a lead, we went from 5 to 6 to 60 plus leads per 100.
Now, are those people that are filling out their information, or you're just grabbing their information and then using it to reach out?
Great question. So they didn't fill out a lead form.
Okay.
They came to the website. They spent more than 60 seconds on the website. They are located in the US. They're not some like out of international potential like spam type bot or whatever. And so they came to our website and did some research, but for whatever reason didn't fill out a lead form. And so when we put this thing in place, our database grew at a rate of 15x.
It's amazing.
Because and so for anybody that's interested in getting this set up, it's super cheap. Like when it's so freaking cheap. It's literally like the cost of this is now that it's kind of just dawning on me. It's literally cheaper than buying one lead at Zillow.
I love
One
that.
lead at Zillow is like $200 to $250, I think. So we pay like $200 is like the base fee, and they put this pixel on our website, and then it pulls in the IP addresses, and then it does API calls to the U.S. Postal Service, to social media platforms, to phone number databases, and it enriches each of these contact records, and then it pushes it into our CRM, and we put those leads on a cold email sequence. And so normally, like in my database, we would add for our group about 300 to 400 really high quality sellers on a monthly basis, 300 to 400. These aren't like people typing in like, what's my home worth? Like these are people that are like super interested. We talk to them on the phone, like in the advertising world, they would call this an MQL. It's not a lead, it's a MQL. It's a marketing qualified lead, meaning like you've talked to the person, there's high intent there. And so we went from 300 to 400 up to over 3,000, a 15x increase by putting in this anonymous traffic conversion tool.
So what is the tool? Do you mind if we ask?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had the RealSync team build this for us. And so if somebody wants it, just reach out to the RealSync team. Again, it's not even advertised on their website. I had them build it for me, and I've told all my friends about it. And so like it's so funny. I got a call from a guy in Indianapolis. His name is Mark Deedle. And he's like, Chris, I usually only get like 200 to 300 people added to my database per month. I'm pacing to get over 2,500. He's like, my database is currently 30,000 people, and I've been in business for 15 years. He says, Chris, I'm going to add 30,000 people to my database this year alone.
That's amazing.
Where we saw the real juice we've squeezed out of this is cold email marketing. So like we're already doing retargeting and all that kind of stuff, which I mentioned earlier, but now we layered in cold email marketing. So they come to our website and they don't even fill out a lead form, and then they get an email immediately. And they're like, and maybe some people that are watching this show have seen that happen before, where like you don't even register and you get an email from that company. And so this is essentially this cold email marketing sequence is kind of like retargeting.
Yeah.
I feel compelled to also share this in the vein of remarketing. Something we discovered is like you really want to continue marketing to somebody after they come to your website, not for 90 days, but a minimum of 120 to 180 days. And so like, that's an important distinction, because when somebody comes to your website, they may still be working. The reason they didn't fill out the lead form is they're still trying to work through a lot of details. Like, where's my next house? Like, I need the money to fix A, B, and C. And so they don't want to call you yet. But like, if they came to your website, then they're like, they're in your mind, like your business is in their mind. And so now you just need to stay in front of their mind. And a lot of these retargeting ads, when you build these retargeting programs, they have these like timers on them where they only will last for like 90 days. And you really want to push that to 120 to 180 days. And this is part of the puzzle to generate high intent leads, so that when people come to you, they're ready to transact right now. Like literally you talk to them on the phone and within 72 hours you're meeting them. And so this retargeting strategy is really one key component to making that happen.
I love that. I mean, those two nuggets alone, I think, could make people some serious money out there. So I think everyone's going to appreciate it. Chris, your model, I want to talk really quick before we go about the model of Watters International Realty. So you guys do basically everything for agents, and your agents on average are doing something like, what is it, 100 listing appointments a month, a quarter? Like, what are the numbers? What are your agents actually doing? And then what is your actual back office brokerage providing for agents?
Yeah. So our, like for example, our listing agents have three primary activities. Um, when they wake up in the morning, they look at their calendar and they have appointments on their calendar. So they're already scheduled. Like they just, their job is to do the research and show up and be a professional salesperson and, educate the seller and earn their business. Once they have the listing, the second part of their job are weekly success calls through the coming soon, active, and pending stage. And then the final part of their job is they need to be involved in conversations that require influence or subject matter expertise. And so those things are, as an example, when an offer comes in and you're negotiating the details of the offer. Another example is you're in the inspection, you're getting the inspection done and the buyer wants 20 things done to the house. Like that's when, you need to be involved in the conversation. Every single task beyond those three key activities, we give to somebody else. So marketing team generates the leads. Our inside sales teams book the appointments. We have a courier delivering the sign, the lockbox, the flyers. We have somebody putting in the MLS. We have, somebody else managing all of our systems, AI, all that stuff. We have somebody that's the transaction coordinator and kind of operating like an assistant to the listing agent. And so literally every single thing is,
Handled.
leveraged to another person. And the listing agent just focuses on those three key activities.
I love that. If someone wanted to get more information about, either starting or becoming part of your real estate agency in a market that's not you, you're in Austin, Texas. How would someone get more information on that?
Yeah, so they can send me a DM on Instagram, or you can go to our website and fill out a form, and our inside sales team will probably forward it to me.
I mean, you guys have had incredible growth for the past couple of years. I know you guys are hoping to open another 100 places or so in the next 2 years. Huge goals, but you have to have moonshots to do big things. You have the AI platform that's analyzing conversations. You have the brokerage. If anyone listening is curious about any of this stuff, send Chris a DM. He's always happy to chat, and I know that he's excited to do this because it helps him make the products better in the first place. So, Chris, dude, thank you so much for your advice
Yeah.
today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And yeah, I'd say, like I said, go to, let's see, so the anonymous traffic tool thing is called Identify. And that tool was made by RealSync. And then the AI, basically like mystery shopping the phone in the
Yeah.
face-to-face appointment, that tool is called Table OS. And it was also developed and created by the RealSync development team. And then, man, what else did we talk about? I want to make sure I don't forget any details. If anybody's interested, and I wrote this book about 8 years ago. I'm happy to give out a free copy of it. It's a little dated now because it was written 8 years ago.
Before AI existed outside of Terminator.
Yeah, but I'm happy to give a copy of this to people for free.
What's the title?
I'll give you the link for it. And if anybody's interested in using the AI platform, you can use it for free. But you need to be a bigger team. Like you got to be a team that's doing a minimum of 100 closings a year. Otherwise, I think it's not that it's not worth it, but
you have to have the infrastructure behind you to do something with the data when you get the data. I think that's the hard part.
Yeah, like the AI is going to send these coaching notes to the agent and be like, "Hey, look, next time you get this objection on pricing, this is what you need to say." And so, ideally, in a perfect world, you have a team leader that sees those things, and you guys are role playing because it's like you can't just think about swinging the bat. You actually have to swing the bat. And so role playing is a great way to practice overcoming the objections, because even when you get the answer from AI saying hey, next time lead them through self-discovery by asking these questions, you still have to actually do it. And so that's an example of when a sales leader can get involved and help you get the reps in.
Well, I really like this because a lot, we've been talking on previous episodes about using like Claude and ChatGPT to do live role playing, but this is actually learning from the actual conversations you had with real buyers and real sellers and seeing how you perform in real life versus how you perform when you're just talking to a robot. I think it's completely different. Chris, dude, thank you so much for being on the show
Yeah.
today.